First question asks you to solve by graphing. So it gives you the system and the graph. All you have to do is first make sure that these two system or equation is in the y equals mx plus b form. Here it already gave it to you in the form of y equals mx plus b. So let's graph the first equation. It's y equals negative x plus 3. This plus 3 means that's the y-intercept. So from the origin, I go up 1, 2, 3. And I plot my point. So that's where the line intercepts the y-axis. Now here's a negative x. So there's an invisible 1 in front of the x, and it's negative. So our rise over run is down 1 to the right 1. Since it's negative, we go down first. So from the y-intercept, I go down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, and so on. Then I'll connect my dots. That's my first line. Now let's graph the second line. Y equals to 3 over 2x minus 2. So once again, the number behind tells us the y-intercept. So negative 2 means I go down 1, 2. Now, my slope is 3 over 2. So it's rise over run. That means I go up 1, 2, 3. To the right 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. To the right 1, 2. Now I'll connect my points. Now the solution is basically where the two line intercept. So the two line intercept at 1, 2, 1. So the solution is 2, 1. For the second problem, we do the same thing. We have to graph the two lines and find the intersection. Now, here, number 2, it gives you 2x plus 4y equals 12. X plus y equals to 2. Now, these two equations, they're not in the y-intercept form, or the slope-intercept form, sorry. What I mean by that is the y equals mx plus b. You see how this is 2x plus 4y equals 12? Our y we want, right, is on the left side of the equal sign and by itself. So how do you get y by itself? Well, let's take a look at the first equation. 2x plus 4y equals to 12. Now, to get y by itself, I'll subtract 2x from both sides. Here the 2x cancel out. I have 4y equals 2. Now, 12 minus 2x. These two cannot be combined together, right? They're different terms. So all I have to do is write out 2x plus 12. Now to get the y by itself, I divide both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4, it cancels out. I get y equals 2. Negative 2 divided by 4, that gives me negative 1/2 x. 12 divided by 4 gives me a positive 3. So here's this equation rewritten as the slope-intercept form. Now to rewrite this equation, all you have to do really is subtract x to both sides. And you get y equals negative x plus 2. So now I have this in the slope-intercept form. Now I just graph. Well, let's start with this one. The plus 2, that's my y-intercept. That means I go up 2 from the origin. And that's my y-intercept. So I plot a point. Here's a negative x. So once again, a negative, that means I'll rise or run. You start to go down first. So if it's a negative x, that's an invisible 1 in the front. So I go down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, and so on. And I'll connect my dots. Now for the second equation, this plus 3, that's the y-intercept. So from the origin, I go up 1, 2, 3. And my slope here is negative 1 over 2. So I go down 1 to the right 1, 2. 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 Now I can also go the opposite way, right, to make my graph look pretty. So I can go up 1 to the left 1, 2. Up 1 to the left 1, 2. So now I can connect my points to make a line. So now, where does these two lines intersect? Well, they both intersect right here. So this coordinate really is left 1, 2, so that's negative 2, up 1, 2, 3, 4. So negative 2, comma, 4. So next question asks you to solve by substitution. To solve for substitution, basically you're trying to find x equals something or y equals something, and then you plug it into the other equation. What I mean by that is, take a look at these two equations. You gotta ask yourself which one is easier to solve for x or y. Well, look at the second equation. Y is already by itself. So to solve for y, all you have to do is subtract 2x to both sides. And these 2x cancel out. I'm going to move it up here. So you get y equals to negative 2x plus 10. So now you know y equals to negative 2x plus 10. So now I'll use the other equation. And wherever there's a y, I'm going to plug this negative 2x plus 10 in. So here's 3x plus 4 times y. Well, we know what y is negative 2x plus 10. And it's equal to 12. Now I just simplify. Well, how do I simplify? First step is removing the parenthesis. Remember, hippity-hoppity, distributive property. So I'm going to distribute. Right? So first bring down the 3x. 4 times negative 2x. That's negative 8x. 4 times 10. That's 40. Equals to 12. Now I'm going to combine like terms. Well, there's 3x and there's negative 8x. I can combine these two and you get negative 5x plus 40, right, equals to 12. Now I just solve for x. Well, subtract 40 to both sides. Here the 40 cancel out. I get negative 5x equals to 12 minus 40. That should give me a negative 28. Now, divide both sides by negative 5. I get x equals to 28 over 5. So now I know what x is, the actual value of x. Now I can plug it back into one of these equations and find y. So let's use the easier one, 2x plus y equals 10. So here's 2 times x. Well, I know that x equals 28 over 5. So 2 times 28 over 5 plus y equals to 10. Now 2 times 28 over 5. If you put it in the calculator, you should get 56 over 5 plus y equals to 10. Now if you feel more comfortable using decimal, that's alright. It's not wrong. Okay. Now I'll subtract. Right? To solve for y or get y by itself, I have to subtract 56 over 5 to both sides. Here, 56 over 5 cancel out. I get y equals 10 minus 56 over 5. If you put that in the calculator, you get negative 6 over 5. So my solution is 28 over 5, comma, negative 6 over 5. Alright, the next problem asks you to solve by elimination. So elimination is basically you want to find or multiply somehow, right, to get either the x, right, the coefficient of the x the same, or the coefficient of the y being the same. So you can add or subtract and remove them. Here I find it easier to remove the x. So basically, to find the same coefficient for both, if I multiply the top equation by 3, okay, I'm multiplying the top equation by 3. 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times 7y is 21y. 3 times 4 is 12. Now to make this coefficient with the x 6x, I have to multiply by 2. So 2 times 3x. So 2 times 3x will give me 6x. 2 times 5y will give me 10y. 2 times negative 5 will give me negative 10. Now, I know I told you guys to subtract, but some people are getting confused. So the first step you should do is basically change the sign. Change the sign of every, right? This becomes a negative 6x. This becomes a negative 10y. This becomes a positive 10. Now just add, okay, add them together. Negative 6x plus 6x cancel out, right? 21 plus negative 10y. So 21y plus negative 10y, that should give you 11y. 12 plus 10 gives you 22. Now divide both sides by 11, you get y equals to 2. Once you know what y is, just plug it back into one of these equations to find x. I'm going to use the first one. So 2x plus 7 We know what y is, and it's 2, equals to 4. 2x. 7 times 2 is 14. Now subtract 14 to both sides. I get 2x equals, right, the 14 cancel out. 4 minus 14 gives me negative 10. And divide both sides by 2. You get that x equals to negative 5. So your solution is negative 5, comma 2. All right. Part 2 says, graph the inequality or write the system of inequalities. So the first step we got to ask ourselves is, before you graph, are these two equations in the slope-intercept form? Right? It's not, because we know that the slope-intercept form is y equals to mx plus b. So we have to get the y by itself. So let's look at the first equation. You have negative x minus y is less than or equal to 2. Right? To get y by itself here, first add x to both sides. X cancel out. You get negative y is less than or equal to x plus 2. Now we don't want negative y, we want positive y. So we have to divide both sides by a negative 1. Now please keep in mind that when you divide by a negative, the symbol, it reverses. So from less than or equal to, it becomes greater or equal to. X divided by negative 1 becomes a negative x. Positive 2 divided by negative 1 becomes a negative 2. So that's one of my new equations. The second one is a little bit easier than the first one, right? It's y minus 2x greater than 1. All you have to do is add 2x to both sides. You get y is greater than, 2x cancel out, and you get 2x plus 1. Right? That's my other equation. So now let's graph. Okay? We'll try to graph these two equations. I'll try to use different color pencil for you to see. So let's look at the first one. Y is greater than or equal to negative x minus 2. The minus 2, that is our y-intercept. Right? So from the origin, I go down 2. Now, negative x, right, my slope is just a negative 1. So from the y-intercept, I go down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. And then I will connect my points and draw my arrow. Now, the reason why this is a solid line is because you see there's an n equal to, right, or equal to under the greater symbol. That's why it's a solid line. So keep that in mind, okay? Now, for the second line, is y greater than 2x plus 1. So the plus 1 means I go up 1 from the origin, right? That's my y-intercept. 2x is my slope. So from my y-intercept, I go up 2 to the right 1. Up 2 to the right 1. And then I'll connect my lines. This time is a dashed line because there are no line underneath the symbol. So please keep that in mind. So here's my dash line. Now we can start shading. If you look, I'll start with this equation first, or this line. Y is greater than 2x plus 1. Well, here's the y-intercept. It's plus 1. So if y is greater, well, y values that are greater than 1 will be 2, 3, 4, 5. And you see how it's coming up on the left side of the line? So I shade to the left side. Now let's shade the other line. This is y greater or equal to negative x minus 2. Well, here's negative 2. That's my y-intercept. Now, it said y is greater. So value is greater than negative 2, 0, 1, 2. And you see how it's to the right, on the right-hand side of the line. So I shade to the right. Okay. So where the two colors overlap, that is my solution set. So any points inside that overlap section, that's my answer. Now it asks you, is 3, 1 in the solution set? Well, where's 3, 1? 1, 2, 3. Up 1 right here. Is it inside the shaded area? None. So the answer will be no. Alright, the next problem is basically the same from the last one. First, look at the system of inequalities. Now, the first question you gotta ask yourself is the equation or the equation in the slope-intercept form? Right? Is the y by itself, just like this? Well, here is x plus 2y less than or equal to 10. X plus y less than or equal to 3. So basically, the y is not by itself. So first we have to solve for y. Now for the first equation, you got x plus 2y less than or equal to 10. Well, to get y by itself, you have to subtract x to both sides. Here the x cancel out. You get 2y less than or equal to, can't combine these, so you just write negative x plus 10. Now, divide both sides by 2. Right, the 2 cancel out, you get y is less than or equal to negative 1 over 2x plus 10 divided by 2 here is 5. Alright, so that's for the first equation. The second equation is x plus y less than or equal to 3. For this one, all you have to do is subtract x to both sides. You get that y is less than or equal to negative x plus 3. Now we'll graph. So let's look at this one first. Here's y less than or equal to negative 1/2 x plus 5. So plus 5 means I go up 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is my y-intercept. Negative 1/2 x. My slope is negative 1/2. So from the y-intercept, I go down 1 to the right, 2. Down 1 to the right, 2. And then I'll connect my points. Now let's shade. So here is y less than or equal to 1/2 x plus 5. So here's positive 5, right? My y-intercept. If y is less than, well, less than, the y-intercept is going down this way. So I shade to the left. Now let's graph the second line. y is less than or equal to negative x plus 3. Plus 3 means I go up 1, 2, 3 from the origin. So I'll plot my y-intercept. Right, from the origin I go up 3. And then the slope here is negative 1. Right, there's an invisible 1 there, so it's negative 1, so I go down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. And then I'll connect my points.
Okay, the pink out shirts look really good.
Alright, so now I graph my line. Y is less than or equal to negative x plus 3. I'll proceed to shade. So here's y-intercept. It's plus 3. Right? So from the origin I go up 3. There it is. And they say y is less than or equal to. So from here, well, less than 3 is 2, 1, 0, negative. So it's going down this way. So I'll shade to the left of this line. So now you can see that this portion or this side is where they overlap, right? Both the green and the blue are overlapping right here. So any points within, right, this area or section is a solution. Well, it's asking you is 4, 1 in the solution set. So let's find our coordinate 4, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Well, is it in the overlapping area? No. So therefore, it is not a solution. Alright, problem number 7 says that a jar of nickels and dime contains $63.50. There are 55 more nickels than dimes. How many nickels and dimes are in the jar? So first you kind of have to identify your variables, okay? So I'm going to say that nickels, we'll use the letter N for nickels. As for dimes, you know, we'll use D for dimes. Alright? Now it says in a jar of nickel and dimes, it contains a total amount of $63.50. Well, we know a nickel is 5 cents, right? So that's 0.05 per nickel. And then, if we add it with the dime, and we know dime is 10 cents, so it's 0.10, right, times D for a dime. And when you add them up, it should equal to $63.50. Now it also says that there are 54 more nickels than dimes. So what that means is for the nickels, there are 55 more than the dimes. So N would equals to 55 plus D. Now to solve this, all it is substitute in, right? You know how to solve by substitution. So everywhere there's an N, I'll just put 55 plus D. So 0.05, right, times N. Instead of N, I'll put 55 plus D plus 0.10 D equals to 63.50. Right? Now we want to remove the parenthesis. Remember, hippity-hoppity distributive property. So 0.05 times 55. that gives you $2.75. And then distribute the 0.05 to D, you get plus 0.05 D. And then just rewrite the rest. Okay? Now you can combine like terms. Here's 0.05 D, here's 0.10 D. So I rewrite 2.75 plus 0.15 D equals to 63.50. So I'm running out of room, and I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up here, and I'm going to rewrite 2.75 plus 0.15 D equals to 63.5. Now to solve, all I have to do is subtract 2.75 to both sides. 2.75 cancel out. I get 0.15 D equals to 63.5 minus 2.75. That should give me 60.75. And now if I divide both sides by 0.15, I get that D equals to 405. Right? So that's the total amount of dimes. Now, if we know how many dimes we have, we can find how many nickels by plugging it back into this equation. Right? N equals 55 plus the number of dimes. And we know the number of dimes is 405. So N would be 460. Number 8 say the perimeter of a rectangle is 130 centimeters. The length of the rectangle is 5 inches more than twice the width. Find the dimension. If I draw this rectangle, we all know that to find the perimeter of a rectangle, it's basically you have, this is the length, this is the width, this is the length, and this is the width. Or in better terms, you can say the perimeter is 2 times the width plus 2 times the length. Okay? Well, the perimeter is given here. It is 130 centimeter. So that's my first equation. I have 2W plus 2L equals 130. Now the second equation, it says that the length of the rectangle, right, is 5 more inches than twice the width. So twice the width is 2 times W, and 5 inches more is plus 5. So now once again we're going to solve by substitution, right? Everywhere this in L, we'll substitute 2W plus 5 in it. So let me move over here. So here's our equation, 2W plus 2 times L. So instead of writing L, I will write 2W plus 5. And that's equals to 130. Now, you have to distribute this 2. So 2W plus 2 times 2W. That's 4W. 2 times 5. That's 10. Equals to 130. Combine like terms, you have 2W plus 4W is 6W. Plus 10 equals to 130. Now subtract 10 to both sides. You get that 6W equals to 120. Alright, divide both sides by 6. 120 divided by 6 gives you that W equals to 20. Now, once you find the width, you can find the length by plugging it back into this equation. Length equals 2 times W. Well, we know W is 20. And then plus 5. So L equals 2 times 20, that's 40. Plus 5. The length is 45. Alright, for number 9, you gotta choose the answer choice that represent the system of inequality that is in the shaded region. The best way for me to do this is I'll start from the graph and I'll write down the equation for the line. Okay, so let's start with this line first. Well, let's find the y-intercept. Okay, it's down 2, so I know that it's y inequality sign, a slope times x minus 2, right? This slope right here, if I go up 1 to 1, that's not it. Doesn't hit. If I go up 1, 2, 1, doesn't hit. If I go 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, okay, it end up, right, being in the corner of the grid. So my graph, the slope here is 3 over 2. Now it's shaded. You can tell that it's shaded to the right of this line. And if you're shading to the right, the y value is going down. So that means y has to be less than, right? Less than this line. Also, it's a solid line. So have to have the line underneath. Okay? That's my first line. Now, let's look at this dashed line. Well, where did it start? Where's the y-intercept? It's right here. So it's plus 1. So I know it's y less or greater, something like that, than the slope times x. And it's added 1. Well, let's look at the slope. It's going down 1 to the right 1. Going down 1 to the right 1. Well, that's just negative x. Now, it's a dashed line. I know that, right, from looking at the graph. Now, it's shaded to the right of this dashed line. So to the right, if you shade to the right of this line, well, y values are going greater, right? It's going up. So that's y greater than, right? No line underneath here because, well, it's a dashed line. So now let's compare my 2 answer to the answer choice. Well, here the symbol is all wrong, right? It's opposite. So that's gone. Here, okay, y is less than or equal to 3 over 2x minus 2. That works out. Y is greater. So the symbol is wrong here too. I can cross that out. Now these is not in the y slope-intercept form, but if you solve, right, if you solve for y, right here, to solve for y, add 3x. So I get 2y, 3x minus 4. If I divide both sides by 2, I get y is less than or equal to 3 over 2 minus 2. Right? That works out. That's one of them. Now if I subtract x, I get y is greater than negative x plus 1. Does that work out? Yes. So my answer choice is A. So for number 10, it says Miss Kit worked at a music store. Last week she sold 8 more than 5 times the number of CD that she sold this week. Miss Kit sold a total of 134 CD over 2 weeks. Which system of equation can be used to find L, the number of CDs sold last week, and T, the number of CDs sold this week? Well, let's look at this. So, last week, right? Last week is L. Last week she sold 8 more than 5 times the number of CD that she sold this week. So that's 5 times, right? 5 times the number of CDs she sold this week plus 8, because it's 8 more. And then the next one says she's sold a total of 134 over the 2 weeks. So last week plus this week, right? If you add them, the total has to be 134. Now check your multiple choice. Which one is it? Well, I think it's D.
What site is it going to be on? What site?
All right, for number 11, the first thing you should do is solve for y. Right? Get it into the slope y-intercept form. So I take this equation first, 4x plus 3y greater or equal to 30. To solve for y, I'll subtract 4x to both sides. Right? 4x cancel out. What I'll get is 3y greater or equal to negative 4x plus 30. Now, if I divide both sides by 3, I get that is y greater or equal to negative 4 over 3x, and 30 divided by 3 is 10. Okay, so that's my first equation rewritten. The second one is x plus 3y greater or equal to 21. Now I'll subtract x to both sides. I get 3y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 21. And now if I divide both sides by 3, I get y greater or equal to negative 1 over 3x plus 21 divided by 3 will give me 7. Alright? So the next step is to use the calculator to graph. Okay, so use your calculator to graph. So let me list out my 2 equations again. Alright, so here it is. To remind you what are the quadrant, let's say we have a graph. This is first, second, third, and fourth. Okay? So on your graph, if you turn on your calculator and you go to graph, the first thing you do is you push the delete button. If you push the delete button, the inequality shows up and you just scroll down. Okay? So here we need greater than or equal to. So that's 5. And then it's negative 4 divided by 3. X plus 10. Press enter to graph. Press tab to get the other equation. Right, press tab, press delete. When you press delete, the inequality show up. And scroll down to the one you want. And then it's negative 1 divided by 3. X plus 7. Press enter. Alright. So, where is it that they both cross? It's in the first quadrant. Right? So as you can see, the answer here is in the first quadrant, but the answer choice doesn't give you first quadrant as an option. That's a mistake that I made. So The answer really is the first quadrant.